We have a breaking news update. Blogger Aidan Kearney has made his first court appearance after being arrested on charges of witness intimidation. He calls himself Turtleboy, and he's trying to prove that the woman charged with her boyfriend's murder is innocent. Kearney has been writing for months about the case and recording himself while confronting witnesses.
Prosecutors say he used his online platform to harass witnesses.
Now he's defending himself.
He's defiant and calls himself a victim.
He went too far intimidating witnesses in the case.
A judge released him on personal recognizance and ordered him to stay away from the people he's accused of harassing. If he violates that condition,
Either directly or indirectly,
he would be put in jail.
What he's doing and what other podcasts are doing are giving a voice to those that need a voice, and that's not a crime.
You've got someone who is saying there's a police conspiracy, and then he gets arrested. Witness intimidation. It's kind of unusual.
The police covered this up, and then he ends up arrested.
I will not be forgiven. I will not be silenced, and we will continue on our journey for justice for John O'Keefe and for Karen.
Case that was so huge just got even bigger.
I'm in position. Do I have the yellow target? We're doing a slow roll. As soon as he puts the kids on, we'll jump on him. Tougher.
On October 11th, 2023, Norfolk District Attorney Michael W. Morrissey shocked the region by ordering his harshest critic, outspoken journalist Aidan Kearney, widely known as Turtleboy, to be arrested. The same mass state troopers he named as corrupt were the arresting officers.
At the target were 2 small children approaching from across the street. The yellow target is landing. All units stand by for orders. Go! We got him. Can we get crime scene up here, please? Get his phones, computers, tablets. Search the kids' rooms. Go through everything.
In a courthouse intentionally pre-packed with Aidan's opposition as to not allow room for his supporters to enter, Special Prosecutor Ken Mello began to outline the charges. As thousands of Turtleboy supporters were watching the courthouse Zoom feed, one member of the public communicated what we were all thinking rather poetically. After dedicating weeks to meticulous research on the arrest and the purported statement of facts levied against Aidan Kearney, by our estimation, it can be unequivocally asserted that the presented information is nothing short of total and utter bullshit.
It appears that in the past he has...
You are muted. Please turn your mic unmuted.
You'd be forgiven for mistaking this entire charade for a Monty Python sketch, which would be comical if not for a reporter's freedom at stake.
It appears that in the past he's encouraged his followers to take various actions with respect to witnesses in this matter. We're asking that there be no harassment of witnesses or their families, no intimidation of witnesses or their family members. We're asking that he not on his blogs or otherwise encourage his blog followers to photograph witnesses, their families, their homes, etc.
One of the tactics we see used over and over again by Ken Mello against Turtleboy is he presents lies as fact. For example, Aidan has never instructed his audience to take photographs of witnesses in public or visit their homes to ask questions. However, even if he did, there is absolutely nothing illegal about taking pictures in public spaces, nor is knocking on doors in a residential neighborhood to ask a question. If it were, the Girl Scouts of America would be featured on America's Most Wanted. The notion that Aidan is responsible for a lawful action carried out by an entirely unknown individual with no direction from him is laughable and undermines the credibility of this judicial institution. A Freudian slip is an unintentional error in speech that reveals unconscious thoughts or feelings. And Ken Mello is about to reveal what's been dominating his thoughts as of late.
As Your Honor will hear from the evidence presented by the Commonwealth's argument, the defendant has shown up at sports games.
I'm sorry, Ken, but who has shown up at sports games?
The defendant
has shown up at sports games.
Did you say the Fed? Did you mean the defendant? It is a documented fact that an FBI investigation is currently underway in the Karen Reed case. The specific individuals under scrutiny remain uncertain. Nonetheless, a special prosecutor pressing baseless charges designed to suppress an independent journalist could be a likely target. In Ken's defense, I'd likely be having intrusive thoughts about federal officials too.
Attended or that were being engaged in by children of witnesses and has made scenes there using loudspeakers, etc.
This is a lie. Turtleboy never employed a loudspeaker at any sports games. In fact, even using the plural sports games is a lie in itself. Aidan attended a single lacrosse game with a news cameraman to ask a witness a few questions. Turtleboy's detractors often cite this event as him going too far, and it's anyone's right to hold that opinion. But remember, this is a legal setting, and even if a journalist following a story into the stands of a lacrosse game is something you yourself disagree with, it doesn't make it illegal. In fact, despite what you may have heard about the horror and fear of this interaction, it begins with this.
Hey, Matt, how you doing, pal?
What's up, guy? How you been?
Good, how are you doing?
Good.
How you doing?
How short you were.
Hey, Jen, how you doing? Fancy seeing you here.
I know, amazing.
How are you?
How you been, all right?
So how did court go the other day?
Went great.
Sorry, do you have a child on the team?
Do you?
Some things to notice. Aidan calmly approaches Matt with a warm greeting and a handshake. Then Matt reciprocates, saying, "Hey, tough guy, how you been?" Aidan says to Jen, "Fancy seeing you here." Jen responds, "I know. Amazing." Aidan then asks, "How did court go the other day?" To which Matt answers, "Great." Jen and Matt are both smiling, and no one involved seems particularly intimidated. Jen and Matt are entertaining questions from Aidan, which is a signal for him to continue. But none of the words exchanged between the McCabe's and Aidan are as important as what remains unsaid. At no point in the interaction do we hear Matt or Jen say anything resembling, "Please leave us alone." Later, we do have unknown third parties asking Aidan and Richie to please leave, but that's not the same as Matt or Jen saying it. Now is an opportune moment to underscore a crucial aspect of Aidan's character. He's well versed in the intricacies of the law and how it applies to his journalism. He certainly doesn't want to get arrested for going too far. What if he was specifically waiting for Jen or Matt to ask him to stop? That would have been a clear signal directly from the interviewee that no answers would be forthcoming. However, after closely reviewing the footage multiple times, that statement is nowhere to be found. Let's continue reviewing the tape together and see if we can pinpoint exactly when this became an illegal activity.
I do, so I'm trying to watch.
No, I'm at a public event, so I can do whatever I want. So anyway, so Jen, I have a question. Did you think that you could outsmart Karen Reed? Did you?
Notice here that Aidan is standing at least 4 feet away from Jen. He's by no means in her face. And instead of saying no comment, or "I'm scared," she chuckles through a large grin, which can be interpreted as her responding to his question, meaning she is willingly engaging in conversation.
Do you think that's funny? Do you think that's funny? How long to die in cold? What is this gentleman doing? Look at that deranged face.
Here, Matt appears to be the first and only person to get physical by pushing Aidan, which you can easily see here delights Jen. If she isn't finding this interaction enjoyable, her expressions and behavior certainly suggest otherwise.
Hey, Jen, are you worried about what's going to happen to your family when you go to jail?
Don't touch me.
Why are you shaking,
Touch
dude?
me again.
Why are you
Touch me
shaking?
again. Touch me again.
So, Jen, are you worried about what's going to happen when your kids go to jail?
Touch me again.
When you go to jail, I apologize,
Touch
to
me.
your children.
Aidan misspeaks, and upon realizing it, issues an apology to the children. And although Matt seems to be the one invading Aidan's personal space, Matt implies something will happen if Aidan touches him again. It's crucial to highlight the significant size differential between Aidan and Matt. Aidan, standing at 5'8.5" with a medium athletic build, is notably smaller in comparison, whereas Matt appears substantially larger, almost like a giant standing beside it.
Are you worried at all about that?
Huh?
Huh?
Touch
Oh,
me.
oh, oh, what's going on here?
Oh, you're so fast.
Oh, what are we
I
doing
don't
here?
know how short you were.
Jen, did you think that you could outsmart Karen Reed, yes or no? Did you? Why did you?
We see here that despite a barrage of insults and taunting from Matt, Aidan continues to seek answers to the questions he has about the Karen Reed case. The McCabe's still showing no signs of fear, and it seems Matt is the only source of intimidation directed towards Aidan. However, most surprisingly, is there still no vocalized request to end the interview from Matt or Jen. If only we had a neutral third party to serve as witnesses who could tell us if, by their perception, Aidan was out of control. These two Billrica officials, completely unaware of the Karen Reed case and unfamiliar with Turtleboy or the McCabe's, arrived to the scene after being summoned by a Canton parent.
They think Richie is Turtleboy.
Oh boy, here we go.
See, they're blocking it. Like, no, dude, it's me. It's actually me.
I'm about 5'8" and 3/4. How much do you weigh? You're very thin. Yeah, you look sharp the other day in court. You look great.
They are entirely unaware that Aidan is the individual they've been instructed to remove, instead singling out Richie, who, incidentally, rarely speaks unless spoken to as the apparent source of the disruption. From their actions, it can be deduced that Aidan's behavior gave the impression that he himself was a member of the McCabe party and did not pose a hostile threat. Richie leaves the area once directly asked by the officials, and waits for Aidan at field level. Matt seems to be more relaxed now, and Aidan's banter with him could be characterized as light-hearted teasing. Claiming this is harassment or intimidation, as Ken Mello has done in open court in front of a judge, would be factually incorrect and intentionally misleading. These two frames extracted from Aidan's video during the peak of the interaction clearly reveal that none of the other spectators present at the game appeared to take notice of the incident. This dispels any misinformation suggesting that the game was disrupted or that a scene was created. After a few more minutes of speaking with the Billrica field officials who had no idea what this was all about, Aidan himself ends the interview and leaves.
Okay, we'll give it a wrap, but I just thought I'd stop by and have a great night. We'll see you soon, Jen. How long to die in cold? Maybe you can answer that question for me. We'll find out later.
Let us remind you that Jen had applied for a restraining order against Aidan just a week prior and was denied. The judge's response.
But I would need to find, by a preponderance of the evidence, a substantial likelihood of the immediate danger of abuse as defined by the law. Because of the free speech issues and his status in the press, I'm just not getting there.
It appears likely that the prosecution chose to silence Aidan by consolidating all his legal activities under the guise of witness intimidation, then amplifying them through out-of-context excerpts and outright falsehoods. However, for any of Aidan's actions to qualify as felony witness intimidation in Massachusetts, 3 factors are required. 1. That the defendant, either directly or indirectly, made a threat or attempted to coerce another person. With the exception of Matt daring Aidan to touch him again, we heard no threats or coercion from either party. 2. The other person was a witness, juror, or law enforcement official at any stage of a criminal investigation, trial, or other criminal proceeding. Since the McCabes are witnesses in the Karen Reed case, this factor is met. 3. The defendant did so willfully with the specific intent to impede, obstruct, delay, harm, punish, or otherwise interfere with the criminal proceeding. After seeing for yourself, did you get the impression Aidan intended to intimidate the McCabes to dissuade them from testifying, or from providing truthful testimony in the upcoming Karen Reed trial? If you answered no, then it's simply not witness intimidation. And let us plant a flag here regarding specific intent. We'll come back to unpack that shortly.
For 1977,
held the employee at gunpoint while demanding.
Hold up to 650 pounds of pizza, with or without pepperoni.
The FBI. I should be authorized to be here.
This is the end.
It's worth reviewing a few aspects of this unprecedented statement by Norfolk DA Michael Morrissey, which took place on August 25, 2023. The lacrosse game, rolling rally, and other protests had already taken place by this point. It's filled with provably false statements and bias against Karen Reed as a defendant, including some easily rebutted assertions about the people and events that transpired the night John was murdered. He scolds the general public for drawing definitive conclusions about the case before trial. However, what's most ironic is that the district attorney seems to be completely unaware of the fact that this is exactly what he himself is doing. By making one-sided comments about a case when, as a matter of ethics, he should not. But again, what's most interesting is what he doesn't say. Let's listen carefully to the district attorney's next statement.
To have them accused of murder is outrageous. To have them harassed and intimidated based on false narratives and accusations is wrong.
To have them accused of murder is outrageous, and to have them harassed based on what he perceives as false narratives is wrong. But he doesn't say anything that's happened up until this point has broken the law. If the rolling rally was so clearly a demonstration of widespread felony witness intimidation involving literally hundreds of suspects, does he not have a responsibility to communicate that to the public? We learned from the charging documents against Aidan that cameras were placed in several of the locations where the protest was scheduled to occur. We also know that the Canton PD and the Mass State Police had absolutely no visible presence at any of those locations on that day. Just how concerned with the safety of the witnesses and their neighbors could they have been, when they seemed far more interested in using them as bait to gather video evidence against Aidan? Moreover, if merely urging someone to speak truthfully becomes a punishable offense, then the simple act of placing a witness under oath and telling them to tell nothing but the truth must also be equally placed in that category. Any Catholic priests taking confessional, who are caught saying the truth will set you free, are also vulnerable to being charged and may have a brand new scandal to deal with.
They are witnesses doing what our justice system asks of them.
Yes, they are. And all that's been asked of them by Turtleboy or anyone else has been for them to be honest, which doesn't meet the criteria to be classified as witness intimidation, because it doesn't carry with it the malicious specific intent to interfere with legal proceedings. Perhaps the biggest issue looming over the Commonwealth is their complete lack of credibility, which is perfectly demonstrated in the next statement.
In addition to having no opportunity to plant the evidence, as has been suggested, Proctor would have no motive to do so. Trooper Proctor had no close personal relationship with any of the parties involved in the investigation and had no conflict. And he had no reason to step out of this investigation. Every suggestion to the contrary is a lie.
Here the DA is suggesting Trooper Proctor had no motive, because he had no close personal relationship with any of the parties. But it's been well established through Turtleboy's reporting that the Alberts are like a second family to the Proctors. Therefore, according to the DA's logic, the motive for a cover-up does in fact exist. At the cost of their own credibility, the Commonwealth simply refuses to acknowledge the close personal relationship between the lead investigator and the family at the center of this case. If he so vehemently denies such an obvious fact, how can we trust any of his accusations against Turtleboy? Morrissey's statement was widely criticized for its possible ethics violations, for he seemed to be trying to convince the public that there is no reason to think the defendant is anything but guilty. A man who's been serving in official government positions since 1977 really should know better than to presume a defendant is guilty before she receives her day in court. So when the top law enforcement official in the county is commenting on the peaceful protests occurring in this case and has the perfect opportunity to make everyone aware that what they're doing is illegal, what words does he choose to end with?
But the message is the same. What is happening to these innocent people, these witnesses, is wrong and it needs to stop.
A reasonable person's takeaway from Michael Morrissey's full statement is this: he doesn't like it or agree with it, which is his opinion. He doesn't want it to continue, but there's no indication that by continuing to exercise one's constitutional right to protest, they are breaking the law.
I'm not going to kick your ass. I don't need to do that. I'm more dangerous with my words because I'm so good at finding evidence and exposing people. And that's not a threat.
It's a beautiful day for some peaceful protesting.
We're not hurting anybody. We're not violent like that.
We keep things peaceful.
We're here to peacefully protest. I'm a award-winning journalist. I can come to your home and ask you questions. Like, that's what the media does.
Be above them, be better than them. That's not a threat. That's investigative journalism we're doing here, folks.
I don't you guys
parking lot. I'm like, look, be respectful. You got
and peaceful
no
matter
peaceful. What they say. Stay respectful.
We are peacefully protesting.
We're going to be protesting peacefully outside of his house.
You got to be the bigger person, always.
We're here to peacefully protest.
No matter what they say, I'm not going to kick your ass. I'm not going to hurt you. I'm not going to do any of that stuff.
So we are peacefully protesting.
Try to stay off people's property.
There'll be no rioting, no looting.
looting, nothing like that. This is a peaceful protest. We're here to peacefully protest. We're going to be respectful. We're not going to trespass. We're not going to step on their property. The harassment of witnesses is baseless. We're not harassing any witnesses. So what we're going to do now, if you want to peacefully protest, you should be peaceful about it. That's exactly what I'm going to do. And that's not a threat. I'm an award-winning journalist. I'm just there to ask some questions. You have a right to do that. The other side is going to try to instigate and bring people there with the intention of provoking an incident. They want our side to seem unhinged and violent.
This has been declared an unlawful assembly. All persons must immediately leave the area by traveling to the west.
If you cannot control yourself, if you cannot control your temper, then don't come tomorrow. You're not welcome. I'm not quite sure if you live in I don't want to bother innocent people. I don't want any tough guys there tomorrow. We must be better than them. The most effective way to affect public opinion in the face of evil is to not respond with more evil. Threatening anyone. None of you is a threat. No one has laid a finger on anyone. Yet they're treating you like animals.
An event that I believe, under statute 268-13A, could most possibly be deemed a criminal act.
Nothing is stopping you from coming forward and telling the police what happened. You can avoid jail and doing that, but you're gonna have to talk. It's not an option to remain silent. You might as well tell the truth and let the world know what happened. Nothing is stopping you from telling the truth, from saving yourself. You know what happened that night. You know why John's body was on that lawn. You know why he has that huge laceration in the back of his head. You know that he was bleeding out.
Without including the allegation of witness intimidation, none of the claims listed in the charging documents are by themselves unlawful. Now, we will shift our focus to a singular, overarching truth that exonerates Aidan and renders that allegation baseless as well. We will propose that Turtleboy simply never committed witness intimidation. In order to assert that argument, we first need to demonstrate what real witness intimidation entails. The following is a fictional yet plausible scenario that has been crafted specifically for this illustrative purpose. The star witness is the store clerk, who was able to identify the defendant as a former employee by recognizing a small scar above his left eye. The apprehension of the defendant, who possesses an extensive criminal record, occurred at his home 2 days after the robbery. The other 2 men were never caught. The 3 got back into a stolen vehicle, and a police chase ensued. The assailants escaped by driving directly into the pursuing police car. 5 days after the arrest, the defendant's father shows up at the home of the store clerk. He became aggressive, threatening to assault the witness on the day of the trial if they showed up to testify against his son. Although the spectrum is wide and vague, all credible instances of witness intimidation adhere to the following consistent pattern. A witness is prepared to testify against a defendant, contributing to the pursuit of truth and justice. Subsequently, a third party, often a friend or relative of the defendant, tries to interfere with malicious intent, specifically to obstruct justice. However, in Aidan's case, you have the 8 witnesses, none of whom even saw Karen commit a crime, who are prepared to testify at the retrial. And then you have Aidan, who Karen Reed was unknown to before his reporting on the story, and whose public message in parallel to the trial is for all parties to testify truthfully about what they experienced that night. Meaning he has no malicious, specific intent to obstruct justice. And that can mean only one thing. Aidan Kearney never committed the crime of witness intimidation. None of the words he's spoken or articles he's written ever carried with them the intent to purposefully subvert the justice system through intimidation or coercion of a witness. The entire case against him appears to be a complete fabrication, orchestrated by prosecutors desperate to silence the journalist exposing their purported misconduct and alleged cover-up of the murder of a Boston police officer.
Katie, are you okay?
Go! Go! Where do I go? What does it still?